Alright, this seems to be working. So what are we doing here for this live? We're going to try to show two different methods to drop CBU-97s the correct way with a proper explanation. The F-16 is located here. It wants to destroy the tanks that are at this waypoint. What we're going to do is we're going to approach in level flight about 10,000 feet above the ground. Well, actually it's 10,000 feet, but the ground's at 5,000, so we'll be at like 7,000 feet up in the air. And we will do a CCRP pass on the first target that's here at waypoint 1. So we'll just fly straight and level, wait till we get the marker that tells us to drop the bombs, and then we'll wait to see the results. Then my hope is to be able to quickly switch to steer point 2, and then we'll go to CCIP mode, where I'm going to do a dive on one of those green circles here, as you can see, that are there for target practice, and we have some tanks that are there just parked there for fun so that we can shoot them. And then afterwards maybe I can line up to land, but that's really not that important. I just want to show how to properly drop CBU-97s. So let's try that. So we will be flying an F-16 armed with 4 CBUs. I will drop them in pairs. So on my first target I will drop them in CCRP, and on the second target we will drop them in CCIP. So first thing I'll do is turn off these labels. Let me just see, yeah, that's turned off. Okay, so we can see in front, if I pause the simulation here, that right here there's a waypoint on the ground, and we can see there seems to be an indication of vehicles or something there. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to hit. And in here, once we reactivate the mission, I'm going to activate air-to-ground mode. Then we'll choose the CBUs, which is the only weapon I have, as you can see there on the wing, those 2 bombs on each side. And we will activate that in CCRP for the first target. And you can see that on the map earlier we could see some green circles, so we sort of see an indication of them in the distance there. So after we hit this, we're gonna maybe like turn and go bomb that in a dive bomb delivery. So let's try that. So unpausing now. So I'm going to hit my air-to-ground mode. I'm going to change CCIP to CCRP. I'm just going to change that to pair instead of single. Here that sort of bothers me sometimes to see the ground radar when I don't need it. But one of the most important things is by default usually we fly like this in an F-16, but to be able to precisely drop bombs you want to get close to your HUD, so you do that. And you can see that I'm going to pause here. My flight path marker here, that circle with that line above and those 2 lines, I want to bring it centered on that line, because that line is going to tell me where to drop the bombs on this target. Even though the line might not look like it's in the right place, it's that line that you have to line up with. Now, one of the things that happened before I press pause is you saw this line appear and this line appear, and when I unpause you'll see a circle appear. This would be the symbology for the delivery of a toss bomb, and that's not what we want, so we'll let that go by before we do anything. Alright, so I'm just going to continue trying to line up my F-16 on that line. You see now I'm pretty lined up, and that circle has flashed. It's distracting, but that's not what I want. I want what appeared next. That line right here. That line is the bomb for a level flight bombing run that we're going to do. Now I'll try my best to line up this symbol with the line and keep my wings level as I do that, because If I'm at 45 degrees like this, you don't think the bombs will want to fall off the plane, right? And so you have to be straight and level and keep that centered there, because when that line starts moving downwards, as soon as it gets to the line there of your flight path marker, the bombs are dropping. But the bombs are dropping if you're in the right position at the right time. They won't drop if your flight path marker is here compared to the line, or if you're like at 45 degrees like this. It's just not going to happen. And as I said earlier, when that circle flashed earlier, we don't do anything. We don't touch anything. We're waiting for that line to appear, and that's how we do it. So let's unpause, and it's going to happen fast. So there we go. So I'm pretty well lined up at this point. I'm just going to keep my wings level like that. You see the line coming down, trying to make sure, and now I don't touch anything. I just hold down the release button and boop, it flashes. When it flashes like that, it means it has released bombs. And if I look down, you see the number that was 4 here says 2, and if we look outside, oh look, there's 1 bomb there and 1 bomb there. So that means that I've dropped 2 bombs, and we can look just for fun in the outside view. There's my bomb, just burst open over the target. And now we can see the intelligent munitions falling down. And they're basically going to reduce this group of tanks and trucks to rubble. It's easy because the bombs do all the work. And now I come back to my cockpit, and as I said, we're going to want to go to those circles there where I'll have my next waypoint. So I'll set my next waypoint to waypoint 2, and I'm going to change this here to CCIP. Now what that does is it creates a line that comes from your flight path marker and goes down. But right now we don't see the circle of where the bomb would fall. That's because we're flying straight and level. And the circle, well, if I move my head forward, you see that it's there somewhere below, but it's not something that normally we would see. So how do we get to see that circle and get it to be on a target? Well, the ideal way to do that is to climb and then to go put it over the target. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm going to activate my helmet mounted sight, which I hadn't done before. You can see the knob here is now on, and now I have this, and I can see that there's a little lozenge. I'm going to pause it there. Let's see there. When I paused, the lozenge was about here, which is in the middle of that circle. And if I unpause, you'll see it stays there when I move my head. There you go. And that's my target. So what I want to do is bring the plane up high, close to it. And now if I look, well, it probably would be a good time to start my dive. So I'm going to invert, go nose down, and then I'm going to right myself back up. That wasn't pretty, but doesn't matter really. What I want to do at this point is maybe get that circle on that target. Now, as you can see, it's kind of difficult to do if I'm at minus 10 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, oh, that wasn't a good pass. And I'm going to climb again. And then I'm going to look over my shoulder and say, now I'm almost right over the target. I'm going to have a steeper dive. And if you look at my altitude, I'm going up to like 17.5. Yeah, that should be good for a good dive. And so let's try it. I'll reduce my throttle, and notice that when I'm diving at minus 30 degrees, we can see that little circle on the ground a little bit better. So what I'll do is I'll bring it here. Make sure my wings are level with the flight. And we should be able to, we should be able to see it right about here. Poof! And I wasn't super precise, but I'm guessing my bombs are going to fall close enough. Let's see what they're doing. You see they're right over the target, those little intelligent munitions. They're not right on top, but we'll see the damage they can do. I'm just going to make sure I don't crash. And see that these explosions are taking care of that. work. I get to stand here and look at this target destroyed and the previous target destroyed. And look, there's going to be an airfield waiting for me nearby as well, probably. So that's it. Not that hard. Let's see if we can bring it to base. Right over there. Targets destroyed, targets destroyed. I guess that's a mission accomplished. Hope you enjoyed.